When UFC coaches turn on their own fighters, they break one of the most sacred bonds in sports.
I'm thankful for all of you, but most of you, Coach. I would not be here without you.
That bond is supposed to be unbreakable, but sometimes the person meant to back you up no matter what decides they've had enough.
I think that might be as far as she can go, and I am officially retiring from cornering fighters tonight.
Wow.
Yes.
In light of Dean Thomas's latest controversy, here are the most infamous cases of UFC coaches turning on their own fighters. Dean Thomas was an unsung pioneer of the UFC's early era. He put the old and old school MMA, making his professional debut back in 1998 at the tail end of the last century. Thomas was never the best fighter around, but he shared the cage with them. During his career, he fought against names like BJ Penn and Kenny Florian.
Dean Thomas?
Animal.
He knocked out a lot of fucking people, and his jiu-jitsu was off the charts.
Yeah.
However, he never won any relevant titles, and his best win came against Jens Pulver way back in the year 2000. While calling him an irrelevant fighter would be harsh, the truth is that he became a much bigger name in the MMA scene after he stopped fighting. Dean successfully transitioned into an elite MMA coach and a sharp, articulate broadcast analyst for the UFC. He quickly became a fixture in UFC media. During live events, he's the guy providing solid technical commentary at the start of every round, while Joe Rogan and DC talk about how gassed one fighter looks. He also co-starred in Dana White's Looking for a Fight, where it turned out he had a pretty funny on-camera presence. Also, he does a great Stephen A. Smith impression.
Stephen A. Smith here, and it is a pleasure to be your host of the prestigious 2021 Fighters Only World MMA Awards.
Most importantly, he grew into one of the top coaches in the sport. From his time in the American Top Team to later solo ventures, Thomas coached some of MMA's most notable fighters like Jorge Masvidal, Dustin Poirier, and former welterweight champion Tyron Woodley. But what really matters to this story is his work with strawweight Jillian Robertson.
Who's like the first person you would want to give that title to? Like family, training partners? What would be the most to be like, hey, I'm giving it, hold this because you've meant so much to me?
I guess there's two people for me, and they're both going to be in the arena at that time. It will be my head coach, Dean Thomas, who has been with me since I was 16 years old. I feel like it is just as much his belt as it is mine. And the other person would be Dan Donaldson. He actually used to manage Dean's gym when he had it in Port St. Lucie. He signed me up for kickboxing when I was 16 years old at Dean's gym.
Usually, fighters start training with the top coaches in the sport after standing out locally. In Robertson's case, however, she has been with Thomas from the very start since she was a teenager. At UFC 330, that 17-year partnership reached its biggest stage. Robertson was fighting for the strawweight title against the champion, Mackenzie Dern. But things didn't go her way. Dern outgrappled her across 4 out of the 5 rounds and walked away with a clear, unanimous decision victory. Still, Robertson gave it her best effort, and fighting for a UFC title is sort of an accomplishment of its own, one even Thomas never managed to achieve. So it came as a surprise to everyone when the coach who had been by Robertson's side for years turned on her immediately after the defeat.
I think that might be as far as she can go, and I am officially retiring from cornering fighters tonight.
Wow.
Yes.
You're doing the Matt Serra.
I'm doing the Matt Serra. I am no longer cornering fighters.
Can we not decide this the night of? Maybe you need time to sit on this?
I've been sitting on that, and I'm telling you now that that's what I'm doing.
That's breaking news.
Why?
It's just, I told myself that I would do this with her. I would see her journey out and take her as far as I think she can go. And this might be as far as she can go.
Needless to say, this didn't land well with a lot of people. For most fans and even other fighters, it felt like a classless statement. For whatever reason, Thomas decided to make one of the most poorly timed announcements in the sport during a live broadcast. The backlash was immediate, so much so that it only took him a few hours to apologize.
He took some heat for it, and he came out today and he apologized. And there was really nothing more he could say in an apology. Like, this was the most perfect apology ever. It's very different when you tell somebody you're sorry. I'm sorry with no action isn't the world's best apology. Sometimes it's as good as you're willing to do, but I'm just sharing it. It is different. Saying I'm sorry, like Coach, saying I made a mistake, like Coach Thomas did, and saying what the action is to prevent it from happening again, which in this case is him stopping a very successful company that he's taken years to build.
But for most people, his apology came off more like damage control than genuine regret. And another person who didn't take it well was the victim of this alleged backstabbing, Jillian Robertson herself.
She adds another quote, a sort of hypothetical explanation. I don't think there's a conversation to be had. I'm good with everything. The people who sign my checks are cool. As for now, I regroup, take some time to heal, and I will be back in the gym as soon as possible on the same mission. And so my understanding of this, that's it for the text message. She wasn't told beforehand. There was blowback on Sunday. He said he was going to address it on the show, then reached out at 5 and then 7:30 to talk, left a voice note at 7:30, and they have not talked. I did ask, do you still want to work with him, just for, you know, the sake of this whole story and for clarity. She didn't reply to that yet. I would be shocked, just given the sentiment in the text. But I do think that this tells you a little bit more about the whole situation. A coach going on television and saying I'm retiring because the fighter has gone as far as she can go is a pretty shitty thing to do. Like, there's no two ways about that. And not speaking to the fighter beforehand is an even shittier thing to do.
She had worked with Thomas for over a decade, trusted him as the architect of her career, and then watched him throw that bond away in the worst possible moment. But it wasn't the only time a coach talked smack about their fighter right after a loss. One of the best middleweights in the sport nearly lost his partnership with his coach the exact same way. There are few things more frustrating for a coach than seeing one of their fighters completely abandoning their game plan mid-fight. Think about it. They go through an entire training camp together, spend months working on specific skills and strategies, only for all of it to go out the window the moment the adrenaline kicks in and the fighter slips into survival mode.
There are moments in fights where a fighter will do something. The best example is Chris Weidman versus Luke Rockhold. Chris Weidman tries this wheel kick out of nowhere, and he misses with it. Luke gets a hold of him, drags him to the ground, and beats the shit out of him. And it was Luke has a nasty top game.
Absolutely.
I mean, his top game is crushing, and he just ruthless ground and pound, and it changed the course of Chris's career in a lot of ways.
Sure, sometimes not all goes according to plan. But when a coach sees their fighter holding back in a title fight, like they're not doing everything possible to grab that win, that's when cracks start to show. This is exactly what happened to UFC middleweight Sean Strickland and his coach Eric Nixick a few years ago. Strickland became known as one of the loudest voices in the UFC.
We're probably going to have a 5-round war. I'm going to try to put his ass down. He's going to try to put my ass down. One of us is going to get fucked up. It ain't going to be me. To the fucking death. I think the Dutchman can agree. We're going to put on a war, and we're going to try to fuck each other up. And that's a promise we both can make, you guys.
He was going to fight Dricus du Plessis in a rematch at UFC 312, which many people considered to be his last chance at winning the belt back. In their first fight, Strickland lost a close decision and the belt to Dricus. Coming off that fight, the overall feeling was that if he had put his foot on the gas just a bit more, he would have retained his title. So the rematch would be for all the marbles. And yet, Strickland was even more timid and gun-shy in the second fight.
Sean Strickland has a style where he would not deviate from it. Whether he's losing a 5-round decision or if he's winning a 5-round decision, he will not deviate from that Philly shell style with that beautiful jab he has, along with a 1-1-2 and a 1-1 wide 4. He will not deviate from that, and the teeps and the push kicks. He's been doing that style from the very beginning in the last 4 years of his career, and he'll do it for the next 4 years of his career.
After every round, his coach Eric Nixick grew more and more frustrated. Almost as if he was a fan inside the cage, he kept pleading with Strickland to pick up the pace, trying to hype him up, reminding him that this was likely his last shot at taking the belt from du Plessis. All of that to no avail.
After every round, he was saying things in your head that you were saying to Sean, at least I certainly was, watching that fight. So you can't really claim, if you're Sean, that sometimes you watch title fights, BC. For example, when you watch title fight between Amanda Nunes and Rocky Pennington, and she tells her coach, "I'm done," and her coach is like, "Get back out there," and then she gets her face smashed. You're like, right, her corner didn't necessarily help her in that case.
No.
The corner here was as excellent as they possibly could be. It didn't help in the end because Sean wasn't able to execute, but I just want to be very clear, it wasn't like he wasn't getting obviously right instruction in an urgent, timely, digestible way. He was.
5 rounds went by, and Dricus coasted to one of the easiest wins of his UFC career. Sean was the only one who lost the fight, but the angriest man in the building that night was his coach. A couple of days later, Nixick even aired the dirty laundry publicly in an appearance on the Ariel Helwani show.
Oh, it was just uninspired fighting to me. It just seemed like he was sleepwalking, you know? Yeah, it was tough, man. I was just trying to dig him out of it, you know, through the rounds. I didn't know if he was trying to collect data in the beginning or if it was just a slow start or what was going on. But, you know, as the rounds began to progress, I can just tell that it just didn't feel like he was in it the way most of the times that he is. So, yeah, it was tough, man. It was tough 25 minutes to travel all the way out there, you know, and like, man, let's not forget this is a title fight, and I take these title fights very seriously, and you know, just I don't know, I was just disappointed, man. I was disappointed with the whole entire outcome, the whole fight as a process. Just thought it was just kind of flat.
Nixick and Strickland had been together for years at Extreme Couture in Las Vegas, and while many felt like the criticism towards Strickland's lack of action was warranted, the fact that his own coach blasted him in front of the whole world felt way out of line. For a time there, it looked like the two would part ways forever.
Because I like Eric. He's a friend of mine, and he's going to continue to be a friend of mine. Will he probably be in my corner? Probably not. We have so many great guys at Extreme, Nate, Ray Cepho. We have so many savages that I would love to corner me.
Not long after, Nixick realized he'd gone too far and began walking the comments back.
Looking back at it, like Sean's reaction about losing was just Sean's way of deflecting the situation. And that should have been me being better about my guy. Knowing Sean, and Sean's always been critical about any fucking person on TV or says what he says and how he is, I should have been a better person in knowing that, like, I got to protect my guy in that moment. But what I said was true. You know, what I said was from the heart, and I care about him because I know how good Sean is. You know, and it just wasn't the performance that we needed.
I mean, me knowing the game, that's how it came across to me. Right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
In the moment, it's like you cared so much about him, and he's just like not listening, not doing what he's supposed to do in there, and he's like shutting down. That's obviously going to bother you. So I knew it came from love, but like maybe from the untrained eye.
Sure.
What separates this story from Dean Thomas's is that this time the coach seemed genuinely frustrated with how his athlete performed. He wasn't dismissing Strickland's career or writing him off. Thomas, on the other hand, looked more like he was washing his hands off Robertson altogether, as if her performance was proof that she didn't have what it takes to get better.
That's your girl since you know her since you're 15. You should be hugging her after the fight and consoling her instead of, I think what he did is going to make her feel rotten. I don't get it. A bunch of people sent me the clip. Asked me what I thought about it. Asked me what I thought about it, but it's kind of hard to defend. I like Dean, but I think he just kind of made it about himself, which is never good.
So while both situations sparked backlash, the intent behind them couldn't have been more different. One was a coach lashing out in the heat of the moment, the other felt like a cold, calculated abandonment. This one, however, had a happy ending. Nixick and Strickland sorted it out between themselves, and they're still together to this day.
A lot of good lessons for me to learn, and that was important for me to kind of take a step back and, you know, understand what I said and how to deliver it better, and you know, protect my fighter a little bit better and keep things behind the scenes.
In fact, they even reclaimed the middleweight belt not long after, putting a perfect bow on what could have been a messy breakup story. But not every fallout ends with a reconciliation. Sometimes the coach leaves and never comes back. As good as John Jones is as a fighter, it's safe to say he has made questionable decisions in his personal life. He might be the best fighter to ever do it, but now that his career has wrapped up, we can't shake off the feeling that it could have been even better. Chances are, if he had invested more in cab rides back in the day, he'd have more money, more titles, and even more accomplishments in the sport. Because when alcohol and Jones mix, things usually don't pan out well.
A black man can't drink, and getting elected into the Hall of Fame, and now this is what I got. You fucking cracker! You fucking cracker!
Relax. You all right? You all right? Relax. You have anything in your pockets, man?
What did I do?
It's okay.
What did I do?
The video was from 2021 when Jones was celebrating his induction into the UFC Hall of Fame. What happened that night was the darkest chapter of Jon Jones's life that we know of, and given his long history, that's saying a lot. According to reports, things got so bad that his own daughter had to call hotel security for help. And once the cops came, they found Jones's fiancée with blood on her face. Even for Jones, this was a new low.
I remember when I saw Jones and his family on the red carpet for the Hall of Fame. I'm so removed from that rivalry that I actually felt happy for him.
Right.
Because his little girls they aren't babies no more.
Yeah.
They're growing up to be beautiful young women.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like he had his family with him. He was gonna be celebrated. And then he goes out and does something like that to remind me why I felt so strong about disliking him. Because you start hearing these things and it's awful.
Given that no one pressed charges, Jones walked out of it with another pat on the back. But there was one person who wasn't about to let this one slide. His longtime striking coach, Mike Winkeljohn.
I'm very disappointed. It's tough, you know. The hardest part was when you hear that his daughter said you got to call the police officers. You know what? It's just tough because from my standing, I got 3 daughters. You know, I have a wife, 3 daughters, a mom. I teach women's self-defense called Smart Girl Self-Defense, and it just makes it hard, you know, when he keeps getting in trouble.
Winkeljohn had been by his side for 12 years at that point. Alongside Greg Jackson, he and Jones had one of the most successful careers in history. But after this incident, Winkeljohn gave him an ultimatum.
I just had a conversation with him. I said, John, here's the deal, man. You're like my little brother. You have to stop drinking and fix these things for a certain period of time until you can come back to the gym. So at the moment, he's out of the gym. He's not allowed to come in the gym because I feel that, I feel I had to do that because ignoring it and expecting different results, you know, as they say, is insanity. He's got a lot of yes people around him that won't tell him the truth. So he might hate me for it, but I had to tell him the truth. But in my heart, gosh, that guy's capable of greatness.
People don't talk about it often enough, but from Winkeljohn's side, that was a pretty big decision. Coaching a fighter of Jones's caliber means a lot of things. Bigger paychecks, more notoriety for your gym, a pipeline of new fighters wanting to train where he trains. The kind of position every MMA coach dreams of. And to let all that go purely out of principle, that's not something you see every day. His head coach, Greg Jackson, then took Jones to a separate gym and continued to work with him. As for Jones, well, he still kind of holds a grudge against Winkeljohn because of that. They never worked together again and probably never will. This story marked the end of one of the greatest partnerships in MMA. Dean Thomas walked away from a fighter after one bad night. Winkeljohn walked away from a legend after 12 good years. In MMA, even the strongest bond in the sport only lasts as long as both sides want it to. Coaches are supposed to be the one constant in a fighter's career. Turns out, even that isn't guaranteed. But losing your coach is only one way a career can come apart. Some fighters this year lost a lot more than that. Check out our video on the most satisfying UFC downfalls of 2026. Thank you for watching.